The first sign was a notification. Not even the text itself. Just the preview on his locked screen as the phone lit up while he showered. Can't wait for Friday at the beach house. Bought that red lingerie you... The rest disappeared into the ellipsis of Apple's privacy settings. The universe has a sick sense of humor, doesn't it? Giving you just enough information to destroy your world, but not enough to understand exactly how it ends. I'm Kimberly. The woman who was standing there, toothbrush frozen mid-stroke, staring at her husband's phone on a random Thursday morning in April. 13 years of marriage evaporating in the steam of his shower. That moment crystallized everything. The late nights at work, the sudden password changes, the weekend conferences that left no digital footprint, the way he'd stopped looking me in the eyes during sex, the subtle shift in how he'd begun to critique my appearance after never doing so for over a decade. I didn't touch his phone. I didn't need to. Something inside me had already known, had been knowing, had been waiting for confirmation of what my gut had been screaming for months. Instead, I rinsed my mouth, applied my makeup with mechanical precision, and went to work like it was any other day. But it wasn't any other day. It was the first day of my new life, one where I finally admitted to myself that Thomas, my college sweetheart, the man I'd built a life with, was fucking someone else, and planning to take her to our beach house, the one we'd scrimped and saved for, the one where I'd miscarried our only pregnancy 3 years ago, the one place I thought was sacred to us. I'm not naturally vindictive. I'm a corporate lawyer. I solve problems methodically. I gather evidence. I build cases. And that's exactly what I did. That night, while Thomas slept, I used his fingerprint to unlock his phone. A risky move, but he sleeps like the dead after his Thursday squash games and 2 bourbons. What I found wasn't just an affair. It was an alternate reality. Her name was Sophia. Not some 20-something intern, but a married pharmaceutical rep his age, 39. They'd been seeing each other for 7 months. I scrolled through hundreds of messages, thousands of moments of betrayal, each one a tiny razor across my heart. "Your wife doesn't understand you like I do," she'd written. A classic line. So unoriginal it would be funny if it weren't tearing my life apart. "Alex is taking a business trip to Chicago this weekend. Beach house?" Another message from 2 weeks ago. Alex. Her husband. Something shifted in me then. Not just pain, not just rage, but a cold, clear purpose. If Thomas and Sophia wanted to play adults behaving badly, I could play too. But I'd play better. Finding Alex wasn't difficult. LinkedIn, Instagram, a few strategic searches. He worked in architectural design. Handsome in that artistic, slightly disheveled way. Did he know? Was he as clueless as I had been? I drafted and deleted 17 different messages before finally sending one. "This is Kimberly Williams. I believe your wife Sophia and my husband Thomas are having an affair. If you'd like to discuss this, my number is below." 3 hours later, my phone rang. "Is this some kind of sick joke?" His voice was tight, controlled, but I could hear the tremor. "I wish it were," I replied. "They're planning to meet at our beach house this Friday." The silence stretched between us, 2 strangers united by betrayal. "What do you want to do about it?" he finally asked. That's when the idea crystallized. Perfect in its simplicity, devastating in its potential. "How do you feel about surprising them?" I asked, a strange calm settling over me. "I have keys. We could be there waiting." His laugh was hollow. "That's either the craziest or most brilliant thing I've ever heard." "Sometimes they're the same thing," I said. We agreed to meet at a coffee shop the next day to compare notes and finalize our plan. I remember sitting across from him, studying his face for the first time. He had kind eyes, sad eyes now. Betrayal had aged him overnight, just as it had me. "They'll arrive around 7, I explained, sliding my coffee between my hands. "Thomas told me he's at a medical conference in Boston. Sophia told you?" "Chicago, sales training." Alex's mouth twisted. 8 years of marriage and I never thought to verify a single thing. "Don't beat yourself up," I said. "Trust isn't stupidity. It's the baseline of marriage." "Was," he corrected. "We spent 2 hours planning our ambush. Not with yelling or violence, nothing so undignified, but with calculated, devastating precision. The cheaters thought they were orchestrating a romantic getaway. Instead, they were walking into a reckoning. As we parted ways, Alex hesitated. Are we doing the right thing? I considered this. I don't know if it's right, I admitted. But it's necessary for us to move forward, whatever that looks like. He nodded, understanding. That night, Thomas kissed me goodbye, suitcase in hand. I'll call you when I land in Boston, he said. I smiled. Have a safe flight, honey. I love you. The lie tasted like ashes in my mouth. Friday morning dawned bright and clear. A perfect beach day. Mockingly perfect. I called in sick to work for the first time in 3 years. Packed an overnight bag. Told my assistant I needed a mental health day. If she only knew. The drive to our Hamptons beach house normally filled me with peace. Today, each mile marker counted down to confrontation. I rehearsed what I might say, what I might do, but nothing felt adequate for the magnitude of this betrayal. Alex and I had agreed to meet at a diner a mile from the beach house at 2 p.m. This gave us plenty of time to set up before their expected 7 p.m. arrival. When I walked in, he was already there, nursing a cup of coffee, eyes fixed on the window. Second thoughts? I asked, sliding into the booth. About 1 million, he admitted. But I'm still here. We were awkward at first. What's the protocol for planning an ambush with your spouse's affair partner's spouse? But shared trauma creates strange intimacies. Over club sandwiches that neither of us could finish, we moved beyond the affair to discover real people beneath the pain. Alex was a talented architect who'd put his career on hold to support Sophia's ambitions. I designed our home, he said quietly. Every inch customized for our future family. The family she apparently doesn't want with me. I shared how Thomas and I had been trying for a baby for years. The miscarriage hit him hard, I explained. He shut down emotionally. I thought we were healing together, but I guess he was healing with someone else. You deserved better, Alex said, meeting my eyes. So did you. By the time we paid the check, a peculiar solidarity had formed between us. Fellow travelers on this journey no one would choose. At the beach house, we moved with strange efficiency. I gave Alex the tour, trying to ignore the memories that haunted every room. They'll likely head straight to the master bedroom, I said clinically, as if discussing a real estate showing. Should we wait there? He asked. I considered this. No. The living room. Better lighting, more exits, less intimate. We prepared the scene like stage directors, placed 2 chairs facing the entrance, set a bottle of Thomas's favorite scotch on the coffee table with 4 glasses. A theatrical touch, but psychological warfare requires props. While we waited, I wandered to the deck overlooking the ocean. The waves crashed relentlessly, nature indifferent to human drama. Alex joined me, his presence oddly comforting. When did you first suspect? He asked. There were 1,000 little things, I said. Her perfume on his collar once. He claimed it was from hugging a colleague goodbye. Late-night texts he'd shield from my view. But mostly it was how he stopped seeing me. Really seeing me. Alex nodded. Sophia started picking fights, creating distance to justify what she was doing. The classic cheater's playbook, I agreed. Demonize your partner to rationalize your betrayal. We shared stories as the sun began its descent. How Thomas and I met in law school. How Alex proposed to Sophia in Paris. The lives we thought we were building. The futures now shattered. What will you do after? Alex asked. Divorce? I don't know, I admitted. Part of me wants to burn everything down. Another part remembers the man I married. I turned to him. You? I still love her, he said simply. But I'll never trust her again. What's a marriage without trust? The notification from my security system interrupted us. Car approaching. My stomach dropped to my feet. They're early, I whispered, checking my watch. 6:15 p.m. We rushed inside, taking our positions like actors who hadn't quite rehearsed enough. The sound of laughter floated up the path. Carefree, intimate laughter that pierced my heart. A key in the lock. The door swinging open. Thomas entered first, carrying 2 overnight bags and a bottle of champagne. Sophia followed with a grocery bag and flowers. They were so wrapped up in each other they didn't notice us immediately. Baby, where should I put? Thomas began, then froze mid-sentence as his eyes locked with mine. The champagne bottle crashed to the floor. Sophia gasped, her hand flying to her mouth, flowers tumbling from her grasp. 4 people, 2 marriages. 1 moment of terrible, crystalline revelation. "Welcome to our beach house," I said, my voice unnaturally calm. "Alex and I thought we'd join the party." Thomas went white. Sophia started trembling. "Kim, I can explain." Thomas started. "Can you? Really?" I tilted my head. "Because I'm fascinated to hear how you explain fucking your pharmaceutical rep in our beach house. The one where I lost our baby. Please enlighten us." Sophia turned to Alex, tears already streaming. "Alex, this isn't—" "Don't," he cut her off. "Just don't. We found the messages. All of them." The room pulsed with tension so thick it was hard to breathe. 7 months, I said, looking between them. 7 months of lies. "Did you laugh about how stupid we were? How easily fooled?" "It wasn't like that," Thomas pleaded, taking a step forward. "Then what was it like?" Alex demanded, standing. "Explain it to us. We've got all weekend." And that's when Sophia crumbled, literally sank to the floor among the scattered flowers and broken glass. "I'm sorry," she sobbed. "I'm so sorry." Thomas remained frozen, his face a battlefield of emotions. "Kimberly, please, let's talk privately." "No," I said firmly. "No more secrets. No more private discussions. Whatever you have to say, you can say it in front of everyone." And so began the most excruciating 2 hours of my life. What they didn't know, couldn't know, was that this confrontation had been choreographed with more precision than they could imagine. Alex and I hadn't just stumbled into this ambush. We'd engineered it. While they stumbled through explanations and tearful apologies, I maintained my composure, letting the weight of their betrayal hang in the air. Thomas kept glancing at me with confusion. He'd expected rage, hysteria perhaps, not this icy control. He didn't know I'd spent the previous day collecting evidence. I'd forwarded their entire text history to my secure email. I'd photographed the credit card statements showing dinners, hotel rooms, gifts, all meticulously hidden in business expenses. I'd even recorded a conversation with Thomas's assistant, who unwittingly confirmed he had never been booked for a Boston conference. "Let's all sit down," I suggested, after their initial shock had somewhat subsided. "We have a lot to discuss." The 4 of us arranged ourselves in the living room like some bizarre therapy session. Thomas and Sophia on the couch, their body language still unconsciously intimate despite the circumstances. Alex and I in separate chairs, facing them. I poured 4 glasses of scotch, the expensive bottle Thomas reserved for celebrations. "A toast," I said, "to honesty, finally." Thomas looked perplexed by my demeanor. He'd expected to fight fire with fire. Instead, he was fighting fire with ice. "How long have you known?" he asked cautiously. "Long enough," I replied. I didn't specify that it had been only 36 hours. Let him think I'd been gathering intelligence for weeks. Let him wonder what else I knew. Alex had played his part beautifully so far. We'd agreed he would embody righteous anger while I maintained clinical detachment. Good cop, bad cop, but both cops were the betrayed spouses. "Were you ever going to tell us?" Alex demanded. "Or were we just supposed to live in ignorance forever?" Sophia couldn't meet his eyes. "I don't know," she whispered. "I kept telling myself it would end. But it didn't," I observed. "In fact, it escalated. Weekend getaways. Plans for the future?" Thomas flinched at this. Bullseye. "You've been talking about a future together," I continued, watching his face. "Haven't you?" His silence was confirmation enough. What they didn't realize was that while waiting for them to arrive, Alex and I had discovered something extraordinary. We liked each other. Not romantically, but as humans. We'd formed a bond in our shared trauma. We'd also discovered we were both extremely strategic thinkers. During those waiting hours, we'd moved beyond our initial plan of simple confrontation to something more sophisticated. We weren't just exposing the affair. We were reclaiming our power. "Here's what's going to happen," I said, setting down my untouched scotch. "Thomas, you have a choice to make tonight. But before you make it, you should know a few things." I reached into my bag and withdrew a folder. Inside were printouts of their text messages, the credit card statements, photos Alex had found on Sophia's cloud storage. Nothing explicit, but damning in their intimacy. "First, I've met with Patricia Carlton," I said. Thomas blanched. Patricia was the managing partner at our law firm, the firm where he and I both worked, where he was up for senior partner next month. Patricia and I had a hypothetical discussion about workplace ethics, I continued. About what might happen if, say, a senior associate was discovered having an affair with a pharmaceutical representative whose company had active cases with the firm. About conflicts of interest. About ethics violations. "You wouldn't," he breathed. "I haven't," I corrected. "Yet. I've simply explored my options." Alex picked up the thread seamlessly. "And Sophia, Mercer Pharmaceuticals has a strict non-fraternization policy regarding client relationships. Thomas's firm represents 3 of Mercer's biggest clients." The blood drained from Sophia's face. "How did you—" "I'm on the ethics board at my architectural firm," Alex explained. "I know how these policies work. I also know your regional director, David. We play squash on Wednesdays." It wasn't true. They'd met once at a charity event, but Sophia didn't know that. This was the genius of our plan. We weren't threatening them outright. We were simply informing them of realities they'd ignored while wrapped up in passion. Consequences existed, regardless of our actions. I leaned forward. "Here's what I find interesting, Thomas. When I lost our baby in this very house, you couldn't bear to comfort me. You said you needed space to process your grief. Was Sophia your processing? Was she your comfort while I cried myself to sleep alone?" For the first time, Sophia looked truly shocked. She turned to Thomas. "You never told me about a baby." The air between them crackled with a new tension. The first crack in their united front. "There's so much you don't know about each other," Alex observed. "So much you've hidden, not just from us, but from each other." This had been our most brilliant insight, that affairs are built on performances. Thomas and Sophia had been showing each other their highlight reels, not their behind-the-scenes footage. We just needed to pull back the curtain. "Thomas," I said quietly, "did you tell Sophia about your gambling problem in law school? The one your parents bailed you out of? The reason we've kept separate finances for 13 years? Another hit. Sophia's eyes widened. "And, Sophia," Alex continued, "does Thomas know about your brother in rehab? The real reason we couldn't afford to renovate the kitchen last year was because we were paying for Jackson's treatment." Thomas shifted uncomfortably. "What is this? Some kind of character assassination?" "No," I replied calmly. "It's reality. The messy, complicated reality you both sidestepped for fantasy. We weren't being cruel for cruelty's sake. We'd discovered in our conversations that both Thomas and Sophia had painted their spouses as somehow deficient, justifying their affair by highlighting our supposed inadequacies. This was our counter-narrative. You both created idealized versions of each other, Alex explained. But relationships, real, sustainable ones, aren't built on idealization. They're built on seeing someone's flaws and loving them anyway. I stood and walked to the window, gazing out at the darkness that had fallen over the ocean. We're not here to decide your futures for you. We're here to reclaim our own dignity. Thomas stood too, approaching me cautiously. Kim, can we please talk alone now? I turned to face him. No, Thomas. Whatever you want to say to me, you can say in front of everyone. That's the point of tonight. No more secrets, no more compartmentalizing. In his eyes, I saw something shift, a realization that the dynamic between us had fundamentally changed. I was no longer the reactive, emotional wife he could manipulate. I had become a force to be reckoned with. What happened next would determine the course of 4 lives. But regardless of their choices, Alex and I had already won. We'd refused to be passive victims. We'd seized control of a narrative that had excluded us. We'd forced reality into a fantasy. As we stood there at the crossroads, I felt strangely calm. Whatever happened, I would survive it. I caught Alex's eye across the room, and he gave me the slightest nod of solidarity. The night was just beginning. I want a divorce. The words hung in the air, but they hadn't come from me. They'd come from Sophia. Thomas stared at her in disbelief. What? Sophia, you can't be serious. After everything— Everything what, Thomas? She interrupted, suddenly finding her voice. Everything we've risked? Everything we've thrown away? Look at them. She gestured toward Alex and me. Look at what we've done to them. This was an unexpected development. Alex and I exchanged glances. Our plan had anticipated anger, denial, perhaps even continued deception, but not this sudden attack of conscience from Sophia. You told me your marriage was essentially over, Sophia continued, turning to Thomas. You said Kimberly was cold, career-obsessed, that you were just waiting for the right time to leave. I felt the blow like a physical pain. Is that how he'd portrayed me? Cold? Career-obsessed? When I'd spent years supporting his ambitions, rearranging my schedule for his needs, trying desperately to start a family he claimed to want? And you. She turned to Alex, tears streaming down her face. I convinced myself you didn't really love me anymore, that you were just going through the motions. It was easier than admitting I was the problem. Alex's composure finally broke. How could you think that? I designed our entire home around your happiness. I planned trips, date nights, tried to talk about having children, which you kept delaying. Because I was confused, she cried. Because something was missing and I didn't know what. Thomas moved toward Sophia, but she backed away. Just don't. She turned to me. I'm sorry, Kimberly. I know that means nothing. But I am truly sorry. An uncomfortable silence fell. This was veering wildly off script. The neat resolution Alex and I had imagined, exposing the affair, presenting our evidence, watching them crumble under the weight of consequences, was dissolving into something messier, more human. Thomas sank onto the couch, head in his hands. I never meant for any of this to happen. Yet you made 1,000 deliberate choices to ensure it did happen, I replied, my voice steady. You lied. You schemed. You gaslit me when I questioned late nights and missing receipts. You used our shared trauma as an excuse to betray me. He looked up, his eyes red. After we lost the baby, something broke in me, Kim. I couldn't be the husband you needed. Sophia was an escape. An escape, I repeated. While I was drowning in grief, you were escaping. Alex walked to the bar and poured himself another drink. So what happens now? Where does this leave us? And that's when Thomas dropped the second bombshell. Sophia's pregnant. The world tilted beneath my feet. I grabbed the back of a chair to steady myself. What? Alex's voice was barely audible. Sophia closed her eyes, tears streaming. 8 weeks. I just found out last week. The cruelty of it was breathtaking. After years of trying, after the devastating loss in this very house, Thomas had casually, accidentally created a child with someone else. Is it mine? Alex asked, his voice breaking. Sophia nodded. It has to be. Thomas and I have always been careful. Another twist, another recalibration. The child wasn't Thomas's, but did that make it better or worse? Thomas looked genuinely shocked. You didn't tell me you were pregnant. I was going to tell you this weekend, she said. I needed to figure out what I wanted to do. I found myself watching this exchange with a strange detachment, as if observing characters in a film. The betrayal had transcended my personal pain and become something almost anthropologically interesting. The complex web of lies, consequences, and human frailty. So you were planning to tell your lover that you're pregnant with your husband's child, I summarized. During your romantic getaway in my beach house. The irony is almost artistic. Alex drained his glass. I've wanted children for 3 years. You kept saying not yet, all while sleeping with someone else. The room felt charged with devastating potential energy. 4 people caught in an impossible geometry of hurt. And then my phone rang. A shrill intrusion from the outside world. I glanced at the screen and felt a fresh wave of disbelief. It's Patricia, I said to Thomas. The managing partner you're so afraid of disappointing, I answered, walking to the kitchen for privacy. The conversation was brief but consequential. When I returned, 3 pairs of eyes fixed on me. That was Patricia confirming our breakfast meeting tomorrow, I explained. She's staying at her place down the beach. Apparently, there's a development in the Mercer Pharmaceuticals case. She wanted to make sure we were both prepared. The color drained from Thomas's face. Both? Yes. I told her we were coincidentally at our beach house this weekend. She suggested we meet at the Morning Tide at 9 a.m. All three of us. Sophia sank into a chair. This is really happening, isn't it? Our lives are actually falling apart. I looked at her with unexpected compassion. Lives don't fall apart all at once, Sophia. They erode decision by decision, but they can also be rebuilt the same way. Alex moved to stand beside me, a united front. Kimberly and I have made our own decisions today. We've decided not to be collateral damage in your narrative. What does that mean? Thomas asked warily. I met his eyes directly. It means I've already moved half our assets to accounts you can't access. It means I've documented every aspect of your affair, including the misuse of company resources to conduct it. It means I'm prepared to file for divorce on grounds of adultery with comprehensive evidence. His face contorted. You planned this whole thing. You're enjoying this. No, Thomas, I said quietly. I'm not enjoying any of this, but I refuse to be a victim in my own story. I turned to Sophia. As for your pregnancy, that's between you and Alex. But whatever you decide, I suggest you both get tested for STIs immediately. Given the casual approach to fidelity in this room, it's just good health care. The clinical precision of my statement landed like a slap. Both Thomas and Sophia flinched. Alex cleared his throat. Sophia, I'll be staying at my brother's tonight. Take some time to decide what you want. Real clarity, not just reaction. I'll call you tomorrow. And Thomas, I added, you can have the beach house tonight. I won't be staying. Neither will Alex. We've both booked rooms at the Harborview Hotel. Thomas looked confused. You're staying at a hotel? Together? Adjacent rooms, I clarified. We've become something you might not recognize, friends bound by shared experience. We're having dinner together and planning our next steps. Next steps? Thomas echoed. I nodded. Life continues, Thomas. With or without you in it. That's my decision to make now. As Alex and I gathered our things to leave, Sophia caught my arm. For what it's worth, he talked about you constantly. Even when he was criticizing, it was always with this undertone of awe. I think he still loves you. I gently removed her hand. That's the tragedy, isn't it? Love isn't enough. Trust, respect, honesty, those are the foundations. Love without them is just a pretty house built on sand. We left them there, surrounded by the wreckage of their choices. As Alex and I walked down the beach path toward our cars, the sound of waves provided a constant, soothing backdrop. Well, he said finally, that didn't go exactly as planned. I laughed, an unexpected sound of genuine amusement. No, it certainly didn't. Are you okay? About the baby? He looked out toward the dark ocean. I don't know. Part of me is furious. Another part still wants the family we planned. You don't have to decide tonight, I reminded him. Neither do you, he said. About Thomas. I nodded, grateful for his understanding. We reached our cars and paused, two strangers connected by extraordinary circumstances. Dinner? He asked. Dinner, I agreed. I think we've earned it. 6 months can change everything or nothing at all. In my case, it changed nearly everything. Thomas and I divorced. Not dramatically. No courtroom showdowns or screaming matches. Once exposed to daylight, our marriage dissolved with surprising efficiency. The evidence I'd gathered ensured a settlement heavily in my favor. Thomas didn't fight it. Perhaps his own guilt was punishment enough. He didn't lose his job, though he did lose the senior partner promotion. Patricia was disappointed but pragmatic. The firm has weathered worse scandals, she told me over coffee, though I expected better from him. Sophia and Alex's story took a different turn. After weeks of separation and counseling, they decided to try again, with clear boundaries and painful honesty. The pregnancy became a complicated bridge back to each other. Their daughter was born last month. Alex sent me a photo with a simple message. New beginnings are possible. Thank you for that night. For everything. Thomas and Sophia ended their affair immediately after our confrontation. According to mutual friends, They can barely look at each other at industry events now. Fantasy rarely survives reality's harsh light. As for me, I sold my share of the beach house to Thomas. Some places carry too many ghosts. Instead, I bought a small cottage further up the coast. It sits on a cliff overlooking the Atlantic, wild and beautiful, and mine alone. I've started dating again, cautiously, mindfully. I've learned to recognize red flags I once ignored. I've learned that loneliness within a marriage is far more devastating than solitude on your own terms. Alex and I still meet occasionally for coffee or dinner. Not romantically. We both knew that trauma bonding isn't a foundation for love, but genuine friendship grew from our shared experience. He brings his daughter sometimes. I hold her and feel a complex mix of emotions, but never resentment. She's innocent in all of this. Last week I ran into Thomas at a colleague's retirement party, the first time we'd seen each other socially since the divorce finalized. He looked older, subdued. "You look well," he said, his eyes searching my face for something. Regret, perhaps. Lingering hurt. "I am well," I replied, surprised to find it was true. "Kim, I've wanted to say," he began. "You don't need to," I interrupted gently. "We've both said everything that matters." He nodded, accepting this boundary. "Are you seeing anyone?" he asked, then immediately backtracked. "Sorry, that's not my business anymore." "It's okay," I said. "Yes, I've been seeing someone for a few months. It's new, but good. Simple. Honest." Pain flashed across his face, quickly masked. "I'm glad. You deserve that." As we parted ways, he turned back. "I've been in therapy, working through why I did what I did. It wasn't you, Kim. It was never you." "I know," I said. And I did know. Finally. His betrayal was his character flaw, not my failure. Walking away, I felt the last weight lift from my shoulders. Some people enter our lives as permanent fixtures, others as painful lessons. Thomas had transformed from one into the other. That night at the beach house changed 4 lives irrevocably. It ended one chapter and began another. But standing here now, watching waves crash against my cliff, I'm grateful for that terrible night, for the strength I found, for the woman who emerged from the wreckage. The truth can devastate, but it also liberates. My new home has large windows that face the sunrise. Every morning, light floods in, illuminating everything. No shadows, no hidden corners, just clarity. Beautiful, painful clarity. And in that clear light, I finally recognize